All right, fellas.
We back.
What's going on? It's Jimmy T, Joey Sway, and
Jimmy
Bobby.
T.
Bobby the Man Manning. What's up, everybody? Celtics drop a tough one tonight, but a damn good game.
Jimmy
Uh,
T is the only one that worked right there, just so you know.
I know I was winging it and it didn't work. We're just gonna move on. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board and think of something out better for you guys.
Jimmy T's that should be a thing though. I like it.
Jimmy Westfall. But anyways, 103-101 Celtics lose to the Philadelphia 76ers. The Philadelphia Joel Embiids, I should call them tonight, because that
Mm.
dude was
He might have clinched MVP tonight.
yeah, if you
That's
were
what he was playing for. Looked like, damn it.
if you were still up in the air on that one, I don't know how you can walk away not thinking that this dude is extremely valuable to the 76ers success. I think it would have been 130 to 60 if Embiid was replaced with somebody else on that roster. But
Final
um,
campaign stop, I guess. All right,
he
Embiid.
he did everything he could tonight. He was scoring from. I mean, he was just like over and over peppering that free throw line area. Those 15 footers. The Celtics couldn't stop him. Whether it was Grant, Horford, you name it, there was no answer for Embiid tonight. And that's been the case in many games this year. And it's not just a Celtics issue. Embiid is a guy that, in many people's eyes, is the MVP, and he's honestly going to make a second round series extremely interesting, assuming both teams get there. Is James Harden washed? I don't know. We'll have to talk about that at another point. But
Not looking good.
if he isn't, that's going to be a fun series. If he is, I just don't know if Embiid can do something like this over a 7-game series, go for over 50 points and just kind of
No.
put the team on his back. I mean that's not something that's why the NBA playoffs, the best teams almost always end up advancing, because it's not just a one. It's not like NFL where you can have a guy just go dummy mode and single handedly, a team can sort of upset you there. But anyway, it's not like the NCAA tournament is what I really should compare it to. So, anyways, we'll get into it. Josue, right off the top, we already talked about Embiid, but I imagine that's where you're going with this too. But just
Yeah,
your thoughts on this game tonight.
definitely. I mean, Embiid is certainly the story of the night. I mean, that goes without being said. But those final couple of minutes, I thought was a teaching moment for the Celtics, because I mean, that's how fast it can happen, right? I mean, PJ Tucker, those back-to-back 3-pointers, and then on the third one, you're not gonna put a hand in his face. I mean, like you're gonna pay for that. I mean, regardless of who's shooting it, the guy makes two back-to-back 3-pointers, and Jason Tatum gave him like a double take. Was just like, nah, that's not gonna cut it, man. He made you pay for that.
That was tough. I saw you tweet
Nine
about that.
points in those
That was
in 2 minutes from PJ Tucker. I mean, that was it. Like yeah, of course, Embiid was the story of the night. However, the
for sure.
76ers needed just one guy to come up big in those final minutes, and it was him. It was PJ Tucker.
Yeah, and it was Embiid who found
Right,
him, so he was still making his
right.
effect in the game. But you're right, Josue. I mean, it wasn't one shot, it wasn't two shots, three open shots in the corner. They were over committing on Embiid and probably shading him towards Harden
Right.
and such. But the role player in Tucker comes through. He's been doing it for a long time in this league. He's a tough guy, and to hit the big shot in the big moment. Now we can talk about that. We can talk, if you want, Bobby, about the final play of the game. I know you were very quick to to text us about that final
Yeah,
shot.
you
But
were.
what do you have to say about
It didn't have a
that
chance. You
one
got
right
to
now?
give yourself a chance in that situation. And the double came, throw toward the corner, never a good idea. They tell you that forever, going back to our young days playing basketball, and it ends up with a leaner.
Yeah, but you knew that was gonna go to Tatum, man. 2 seconds
Well,
left. I hear you.
put him in a better
You know what,
position. I don't
Josue?
care that goes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Even if it was going to go to Tatum, if Tatum opened up his eyes and didn't have the blinders on for the shot, he could have just given it right back to Derek White, who was
Mm,
wide open after
yeah,
the inbounds. Embiid was covering the inbounds.
Yeah,
They gave it to he gave it
expect the
to
double.
Tatum, and
throw it back.
exactly. Embiid ran after Tatum, and Derek White standing there
No, it's
wide
not
open.
great. I didn't love the overturn on the foul before. Derek White on Smart's intentional miss there. Great play. That's why you have Smart in crunch time. I don't want to hear people complain about that tonight. You need him when you're
No.
down and when you're trying to rally in a game like this. And he did a lot of good things down the stretch. Set up Grant with a driving kick. Grant, the technical was terrible. You're going to get on him for that, along with a lot of other
Mm,
Ugh.
late game miscues this year, but made up for it with the three, made up with it for with the offensive foul drawn on Embiid. So at least he bounced back from that. Signs of life from Grant in this one. Good corner shooting, aggressive. Again, smart big plays down the stretch. Horford a big three. You don't come away from this game devastated. You come away from this game regretful at all the other losses that lost the 1 seed. And Bucks win tonight. Celtics lose. 3-game deficit with 3 games to go. You have the tiebreaker, so you're still technically alive. But tonight you essentially lost the 1 seed. Sixers still 2 back with 3 to play. They have an uphill battle, but they're still alive as well. It's tough that you needed to rest this one while also needing to win it to stay alive in that race that you already effectively lost with that Washington loss last week.
So you're still keeping your eyes on the 1. Well, it sounds
No.
like you're not anymore. What about the 2 seed, Bobby? I mean, that's still up
So
for
let's see.
grabs here.
You got Toronto twice and Atlanta, of course.
Toronto and
They're
Atlanta.
balling right now
76ers.
too.
76ers have Miami on Thursday, who obviously need a win. The Hawks on Friday, so they have a back-to-back left that I'd imagine Embiid will sit. And Sunday against the Nets. So it'd take a catastrophic collapse by the Celtics and a massive 3-0 run to end the year by Philly to clinch that. I'm not worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, neither am I. But
It's
yeah, like Bobby said,
it's
though,
possible now. You would have clinched 2 tonight with a win.
right? With the loss, this is the number 1 is out the picture now.
And again, everyone's saying, who cares about the 1 seed? You wouldn't have been saying that if you were the 1 seed. I'm so sick of it all. Who cares? And the Celtics did it too after that Washington loss. Who cares where you finish? We won on the road last year. Seeding's important. The odds say the higher you are, the higher of a chance you have of getting to the finals and winning a championship. You look at the path you have now.
That's because technically that Bobby, that has more to do with the fact that you're most likely a good team.
Yeah, of course, and plenty of 2 seeds still get it done. I'm not saying they're
One of
done
the best,
because they're
right?
the 2 seed.
Yeah.
But it's more about the path, Jimmy. This is what I keep saying. You have to play Philly now, round 2.
That's what it's all about. Yeah, going up against
Yeah,
Philly,
which
that's
is
going to be
you've been talking about that for a while,
war.
Bobby. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, even if you do
You might go
advance
7
against
games.
Philly, let's say even if it goes 6, it's going to be a hard-fought 6 games. You're going to get a guy like Embiid who's going to be playing, balls to the walls. He's a very physical guy. They get under your skin a little bit. So yeah, that's a type of series that can just really drain you. If Milwaukee just takes care of Cleveland, and by the way, that's not much. Well, neither team has to really travel. That's not really an issue, I guess. But that's a series that you would expect Milwaukee.
Milwaukee might
to
get
take care of business
Chicago
against
round
Cleveland.
1 out of this pack now if they're the 1 seed, and that's a 90-minute drive from them. So a lot of advantages there for the Bucks. Round 1, a manageable round 1. Not to say that round 2 is easy for them. The Cavs and Knicks are great teams, but I think they'd rather play them than Philly. And then you get Game 7 in East Finals against Boston, which is important. As much as they say we won Game 7 against Miami, which is true, an injured Miami team, but a tough one at that. You won Game 6 against the Bucks last year. That's true, but you won Game 7 against the Bucks at home with a big Grant Williams performance. You have to acknowledge that too.
Sure. Let's get back before we start looking ahead. Let's get back into the game a little bit because it was a good game.
Good
A lot
effort.
went on.
Good effort.
I was just browsing some comments. Here's one. Can someone explain to me what happened with the last challenge? So I think is he talking about the Derek White foul that was not a foul? So the NBA basically passed a rule recently that obviously like guys like Curry and those guys were kicking their feet out and trying to draw contact and to get like a foul call. And so that's kind of what Derek White did there. He hit the shot, but there was no contact. I thought maybe they were going to get him with an offensive foul because I thought that's what happened.
Right, you think it's one or the other because there was contact for sure, right?
Right. So I thought they were going to take the points off the board, but they counted the basket and they just said that there was just no foul at all. So I thought this kind of got away with one a little bit there. But basically, a guy on offense can't foul hunt, right? He can't stick his legs out and try to draw contact like that. So that's why that was overruled. Now, the fact that Embiid fouled Grant, that was something else, and that was a foul. And that gave the Celtics that chance there, and we talked about the Tatum last play. So that was kind of how it shook out there. Grant had an up and down game. Certainly, that's kind of been his season.
He gets
but
the start in this
I
one
tweeted
too,
this.
which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, I tweeted this. I just thought listen, did he have a case for getting fouled by Embiid when he didn't get called for? Yes, but should he be bitching about it down the other end of the court on the ensuing play, drawing and earning a technical foul at that stage of the game or any stage of the game?
No.
Absolutely not. But we keep having the same conversation, and at some point, and you can even argue tonight it did. It's going to end up being the difference between potential win and not, because it came down
Tonight
to
it almost did.
couple
You
points.
get an and one that cuts the game.
I mean, what's it going to take for
You
this
get
guy
an
to
and
get
one
it?
that cuts the game down to 2 with 2 seconds left, and White about to go to the free throw line to shoot 1. If Grant doesn't get teed up, it's a 1-point game with him going to the line to shoot 1. Now, of course, they would have lost that free throw anyway with the challenge, but it's indicative of the stakes there. Losing a point, a 6-point game.
Yeah.
Horford goes down. I think he hit the 3 right away. Yeah, you got another 3 after that. So the math got all thrown off by that Grant technical that made it a 7-point game instead of a 6-point game. Horford hits a 3. Grant hits a 3. Of course, Embiid goes right by Grant for a dunk on the play in between. But it would have been a much more manageable deficit if it wasn't for Grant's technical there. Now, again, the discrepancy drives me crazy. Smart drives a couple plays later, and you hear F-bombs flying around from the Philly players out on the foul call, and nothing happens. So I don't know. I think that the Celtics are probably under a little more scrutiny from their passive complaining, but I thought it's ridiculous to call a technical foul in that spot in crunch time on Grant. So, of course, yes, Grant, hold him accountable for getting teed up in that spot. It can't happen. But at the same time, what are you doing as the refs in that spot calling that on him? You look across the league, the imbalance on those is so ridiculous.
Story. I mean, the refs unfortunately have been a topic all year long. I mean, they've been atrocious. So this is just another example of that, I guess. But I'm not letting Grant off the hook for that, because he should know better. And this is what the refs have been calling. It's not a surprise that they call something like this. You might disagree with them calling it in the moment, but they've been pretty consistent with not taking any bullshit this year from guys, whether you like it or not. So he needs to understand that and adjust his game. He can't whoa. Bobby just flipped on me there. He can't.
I was backwards
can't
for some
take
reason.
That technical. You were. I think Josue is too, is what I'm hearing. But,
Yo, we'll change that, man. Flip it around. What's going on?
Yeah, it's not me. Hey,
Jimmy, what are you doing in the studio today, man? What'd you do? you freaking mixing up, crossing wires and whatnot?
No, John. I almost certainly expected a John appearance tonight after a game like that.
Well, after an L, yeah, you would think that. But no, I mean, look, the thing with Grant, though, and especially if he's going to be in the game in these type of situations, he's got to stay in the game. Like, it's almost like a play-by-play thing mentally with Grant, whereas the second he doesn't agree with a call, everything stops, and it's all about the call. It's all about voicing his opinion. He's got to get over that. Get over yourself, Grant, especially if you're playing in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter. Like, regardless of who you're playing against, like, that's, man, 3 weeks ago, we were wondering if you're going to be playing at all during those DMPs, right? Like, don't you remember that? Like, he's got to be smarter. And if you're going to earn that kind of opportunity, that's the kind of level of focus you need to be at, where you're not just so easy to check out of the game just to argue a play, or you can't get over a play because you haven't voiced your opinion about it. He's got to get over that, especially if he's going to play at the end of the fourth quarter, and especially if we're talking about in the postseason. Like, Grant's got to get these stupid habits out of his system.
I want to go back.
Apparently, I'm just looking at the chat. Apparently, I explained the Derek White foul wrong. Does somebody want to explain it, Bobby or Josue?
I don't have a better explanation than
that.
that.
I thought you did good. What do you mean?
Yeah, I thought.
I didn't say that he got hit down below, but the fact that he stuck his legs out negated the foul call. Once you do that, I think.
Well, that's the only valid explanation as to why they would overturn that, right? I mean, yeah.
Right. That's all I could think of. I mean, I was watching the same broadcast you guys were.
Well, maybe
I didn't expect it to get overturned.
The referee didn't say that per se. Maybe that's why they think that. But I mean, that's the only logical explanation. So, yeah.
Yeah. Tim, our producer, says unnatural shooting motion, watching for the leg kick.
By the way, you want to?
If he had just shot it regularly and got hit in the shoulder, yeah, they would have called a foul. But he he kind of switched it up a little bit, and that's
But-
why it was what
By
it
the
was.
way, fair. John would have gone here, and I want to bring it up. For all the flack we're going to give Grant, deservedly so, what do you think Tatum shot in the fourth quarter tonight?
In the fourth?
Let's pull up Tatum here.
No, man, you're not supposed to look. You're supposed to guess.
Why don't you tell us? Why don't you tell us?
You're supposed to
No,
guess.
I'm not pulling that up. I'm just pulling up
28%.
the,
0 for 2.
1 for whatever.
0 for 2.
He didn't make a field goal in the fourth quarter?
Nope.
Wow.
And then one of the 2 he shot
Yeah,
was the last
you're
one of the
right.
game that was really
Oh,
didn't have
one
a
shot
chance.
outside
He
of that.
took only
last
one
two.
shot outside of that last shot, yeah.
And you know what? And we'll get into Tatum now. It wasn't just.
I regret
guessing
guessing now. I wish I looked at it.
It wasn't just a fourth quarter issue with Tatum. I mean, can you remember one thing really that Tatum did all game?
No, slow start. I thought the team followed his lead through that slow
Yeah,
start.
he still
at
earns the
-13.
opportunity to take that last shot. It's interesting, right?
Oh, yeah, a night with
Sure.
no Brown, but
Yeah, but why is that always the case, though? Derek White was flirting with a 30-point night. He was flirting with a career high.
And
so yeah, you would.
they're going to give it to their star anyways. But
No.
again, I'll go back to it. Derek White was wide open off the.
You had
inbounds,
2
and if
seconds,
Tatum-
so if you want to go.
Well,
somewhere
right. I
else,
mean,
you probably
given the
want to go to
circumstance, like that's why
someone
I'm
else
saying
right
that.
away.
I'm not saying draw up a play for Derek White, but like that should have been
Yeah.
an option that was, you know what I mean? Like, hey, Tatum, if you don't have a good look, give it
but
back.
hey,
You know.
So this is the knock. One of the this is probably my biggest knock on Tatum is that there are these games where it feels like he just isn't there mentally for whatever reason from the start.
And the team follows
And-
his lead.
Sure, and he's said that before, and it's true, especially on a night where there's no Jaylen Brown. So, in that situation, I mean, what's the excuse? You're playing against a rival, another contender, against a guy who took the MVP from you, because at one point you were in the conversation for it as well. You had every reason to show up tonight on the big stage against a team that you might see later and set the tone a little bit, right? And it just felt like they didn't get anything going from him whatsoever. Thank God that Derek White came alive later in that game. He seemed to be the guy that was really getting it going. But this is the thing I have with Tatum. It's like you got to show up if you want to be first team and you want to be MVP and you want to be this that. There are no days off. There are no games off. Okay, I know everyone has a bad game once in a while, but I feel like these ones, I mean, this wasn't a game where he was like doing a bunch of other things because his shot was off. It just didn't seem like he was engaged enough out there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I thought the whole team came out a little slow. 3 of 12 from 3. They're launching a bunch of jump shots. Didn't have great access to the paint. Tatum got downhill a little bit during that opening quarter, but you go on to the second quarter, he shoots 2 for 4 there. Just a mid-range jump shot. Third quarter, he's 2 for 6. Missed a couple shots inside, and then of course we mentioned the fourth quarter. So not engaged enough effort from Tatum. That first quarter, 3 for 8 set a bad tone. They get behind. They're chasing a little bit for most of the game. I thought defensively he wasn't great. The team as a whole didn't play amazing defense schematically on Embiid in this one.
Yeah, where is Tatum's defense tonight?
I don't
didn't show
know,
up
and
on
I
that
found it
end.
weird that I want to ask you guys, did it feel like Horford covered Embiid a ton in this one? I thought I saw Grant on him over and over and over again.
I feel like it was more of a help defense.
I mean, Horford
Yeah,
was
I mean,
on him.
There were
for sure,
times where,
but-
there was instances where he was on him, but it wasn't like a one-on-one thing. You know what I mean? I feel like he would almost shadow him. There was a couple of shots where he was off the mark because he had Al on his face, but it wasn't like the same type of, like we've seen in the past where it's like Al has him every single possession.
The problem with Grant tonight is that Embiid had him with the dribble, and guys weren't in position to help. And this happened with Cornette in there too, where
A lot of Tatum criticism in the chat.
Yeah,
tonight.
people are mad.
I thought this was a bad Tatum game. I mean, if you're going to try to stack up with the MVPs in the league, you can't finish 0 for 2 in a game like this against him, especially when Brown's sitting. You don't have his assistance, so you need to step your play up even more. There was even more of an onus on Tatum to have a huge game here and keep the Celtics in. And instead, it was guys like Smart. It was guys like White with an enormous second half. White was fantastic in this one. Other guys up and down the lineup stepped up in this one to help them out. And say what you want
All right, Irish Monk.
about say what you want about Muscala and Cornet and Blake in this one. They do what they can against an Embiid scoring 50 points. I don't know how much you can ask out of those guys. Horford hit a trio with threes. So you're looking at Tatum out of this one. 6 assists, 2 turnovers, not bad there, but 19 points, just not enough. He couldn't get a shot off against this team. He couldn't find spots.
I mean, borderline embarrassing, I'll say. When you have a guy on the other end going for, 52 did Embiid end up with?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, the guys aren't, it's not like they're matched up against each other on the court at all times.
But that should force
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, right?
They played like a team
happening on the other end.
They played like a team that didn't need this one.
Right.
We saw what they're capable of against the Bucks last week, and it's a similar kind of opponent who's lurking in the paint, who's giving you a lot of threes.
Yeah, we saw more Cornet on Embiid than we saw Horford.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But as for Tatum, not enough forcefulness in this game, not enough urgency on either end. Made some good passes, especially late. That one, the Horford was nice, getting downhill and finding them. But you need a score in a game where there's no Brown. You need a score going downhill, too. I think that's the key. 8 out of his 20 shots, threes in this one, a lot of pull-ups. That hasn't been his shot this year. That's why I don't like the last shot he took. It just isn't his shot this year, and he needs to adjust. Putting those up. Not exactly a formula for success, and he did get going from 3 of those last 2 games coming into this one, which is a disappointing part about seeing him go 2 for 8 here. It looked like he was really heating up. I think it was 8 of 10 against the Bucks. Another lethal shooting performance against the Jazz. Probably 2 of his better ones all year. This 2 for 8's more what we have seen for much of this season from him, and I know they're giving you those shots. You took a ton of them.
I love this comment.
But you weren't hitting them tonight, and you got to find other ways. I mean, look at what Brogdon does.
Yeah, they're not showing their cards. They aren't showing any
Scal
cards.
Pretty much had that exact same take on the broadcast there.
Give me a break. That's come on. They're not showing their cards.
I was going to say, how many cards you got? Come on, Joe.
Is that? Let me guess. Every other NBA team's not showing their cards against him either. That's why.
To be fair, didn't the
35 points a game?
Didn't the offense look a little flat tonight?
I mean
he didn't see much to it.
When you look at the lineup, I mean, I guess technically he's not showing your cards when you don't have Rob out there, but or Brown, right? I mean that changes things, specifically offensively when you're talking about what Jalen does. But yeah, I mean.
I think they're trying to do everything they could do.
Right. And I also think that what Bobby said is spot on too. They look like a team that just didn't want to as much as the Sixers did. You know what I mean? Or you could say that about
Embiid was on a mission tonight. There's no doubt.
You could say that about Tatum's approach overall. Maybe if I'm not saying he mailed it in out there, but in that fourth quarter, certainly didn't look like he was as eager as the Sixers were, or Embiid for that matter. A team that's desperate to not only beat the Celtics, but just find that momentum that most teams are looking to have going into the playoffs, especially if you're the Philadelphia 76ers looking up to the Celtics and the Bucks. I mean, those two teams are still very intimidating. And yeah, if you're Embiid, of course, a nationally televised game, you're trying to make one more last, say for MVP, and he certainly did that in a big way. And he's my MVP for sure this year. I mean, I said that, even before tonight, but that doesn't change the way the Celtics played. You know what I mean? That fourth quarter. I mean, PJ Tucker knocking down 3 3-pointers in the corner. Like it's just lazy defense, if you ask me. It's the kind of mindset that scares me about the Celtics team at times, because it's like, oh, we'll just get it back on the next possession. That's not always guaranteed.
That doesn't worry me as much as the offense, because I think you're, again, damned if you do, damned if you don't in that spot where Embiid reaches 50 and you got to start sending multiple guys. So Tucker's going to be open in the corner in rotation. You might have been able to make a quicker rotation there. I'd have to go back and watch those plays, but that doesn't concern me as much as the late game execution there on offense. You made a good few plays and then you put yourself in position to win, and you just run that awful play, I thought, on the final possession. But really the first half's what killed you. Looking back on the scores in those quarters, 28-22 in the first quarter. Just not enough from an all-time offense, as Grandy keeps tweeting out with the points per possession. 24 in the second, 21 in the third. I mean, you held Philly to 19 in the third, and you just scored 21. It's not enough. They didn't force enough turnovers defensively in this one, certainly. I think that continues to be a problem for their defense. But offensively, I think is where you lost this one. I looked up at one point, they were shooting 38%. They shoot 42% for the game, just 33 from three. How many times have we seen them shoot below the league average from three at this point in the second half, Jimmy? It's starting to rack up, and you score just 101 points against this team. A few lazy passes picked off,
Right.
not a ton of turnovers in this
Philly
one.
made half of their
Timely ones,
shots.
I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, Smart and Tatum 4 for 15 from three. And other guys, again, I thought the role guys really stepped up in this game. Grant 10 on 4 or 7. Brogdon, if you didn't have Brogdon in that
You
first
got nothing
half,
coming
you
off
would've
that
scored,
bench, Bobby.
So
if you didn't have Brogdon
before we
in
get
that
into-
first half, you would have scored like 36 points in the
Yeah.
half.
Let's get into Brockton in a second. Before we do, I want to just remind everybody that today's show is brought to you by our good friends at
Good team,
FanDuel. Please sign up at FanDuel.com/Boston to receive $200 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet guarantee.
You got a whole
Guys,
month, fellas, or
the-
fellas and ladies. I
The
should
baseball
say. Everyone.
season is underway. Grand slams, no hitters, double plays are back, and there's no better place to get in on the MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official partner of Major League Baseball. So you don't have to just bet basketball now. If you don't know which way the game, basketball's tough, man. I just saw, like, what was it on Sunday? It was like the biggest upset in the last 30 years. Was it the Blazers beat the Timberwolves as like 19.5-point underdogs? Like, it was just
Wow,
unbelievable.
Spurs.
Actually, a buddy of mine parlayed, like, it was a stupid bet, but he won it. Money line of that game with another money line, $1,300 on just on betting the Blazers and one other NBA team. I forget what it was. Two big money line underdogs. Anyways, it's not just basketball now. You can bet baseball. Red Sox are actually kind of interesting. A couple big comeback wins for them.
Yeah, they lost the series to Pittsburgh, though.
Did that happen tonight?
Yeah,
The series? It's already series done?
2-0, yeah.
Wow, 2-game series. Okay. Well, regardless.
Well, no, 2 out of 3. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I
Okay, got
meant.
you. Regardless, you've got a lot of different options on baseball now. So, guys, if you want to do that, another place to do it. So don't miss your chance to get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/Boston and make every moment more. It's 21 plus, and you got to be present in Massachusetts for the bonus. So just drive on over to the border if you're in a nearby state.
Rhode Island
Yeah,
and New Hampshire.
come on
people.
down, sign up. First online real money wager is only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires in 14 days, Josue. So restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. And if you have a gambling problem, there is hope. GamblingHelpLineMA.org or 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com or call 1-800-GAM-1234. Bobby is dying to say something. What are you?
Yeah, what are you trying to
What are
say
you
right
huffing
now?
and puffing about in the middle of my
what's
ad
going
read,
on?
dude?
I'm just this chat, man.
Oh yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Oh,
this is game.
Yo, I almost cut off
70
Jimmy twice too, actually, because of the damn chat.
what's going on?
People mad at us.
Everyone's just who cares? You guys are freaking.
You guys are so
game-
negative.
It's game 79. You just lost the 1 seed that you had. I think I saw today they had a 7-8 game lead on
Right.
that at one point.
And someone called this. Someone in the chat called this a throwaway game against the Sixers. That's a throwaway game. Word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less concerned with this loss because of who showed up, obviously,
Yeah, so
and who needs
exactly.
one more.
Don't think so much about they lost, but just take things from the game that you didn't like,
Right.
that didn't have to do with
Yeah.
wins or losses, or things that you did like. It doesn't have to all be negative, but we're
Or
obviously-
just where
Right,
the-
and
or
people
just
need to
where
remember
they're
too
at.
that the Celtics didn't go into this one thinking, "Oh, we're going to bench Jalen, so that means we want to lose." Like,
Right.
no, that's never the.
And they had
the
a chance to
mindset.
win, and they
Right.
blew those opportunities. So, what do you want us to do? Just say, "Oh, the game doesn't matter. See you later, guys."
And
Well,
don't act like
I'm
this team
also-
isn't talented enough to beat the Sixers team without Jalen, because they are. Obviously, we just saw that they're
But
more
also,
than talented.
Jalen or not, what's the answer for Embiid? Because if you had a game where maybe Harden was shooting a little bit better in the playoffs or whatever it is, Maxey, whoever you want it to be, this isn't a layup series by any stretch. And like Bobby
Right.
said, you played yourself into the 2 seed. Now this is a reality. You have to go to Philly for, a series for at least, let's call it 3 games, right? If it goes to a 6-game series or whatever. So it's just not going to be easy. We have all said, oh, if John was here right now, he's been saying all along, Celtics are going to waltz to the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true because I don't.
I think they get there, but I don't know about Walt.
Someone
You're
said,
talking about
chill, Bobby. It's a throwaway season.
yeah, I think
That's what we're gonna be saying. They'll lose in the playoffs. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
So
Next year matters
that's what
more,
people-
anyways.
That's what people are gonna say if they lose Game 7. That's right.
Right.
that's number 3 here. The stakes this season, and this is why I'm so tough on them. They need to win this
Here it
year,
is.
the championship. And you see slip-ups, you see complacent
Oh,
moments.
Dalton.
You see the stretch they've gone on now offensively since that hot start, and you just see all these little cracks that could cost them in a big moment against a great team at any moment in the playoffs. And we saw it last year, of course. They've made major strides this year. I just need to see a little bit more consistency and urgency at times, especially at the top from this team. Like
You didn't
tonight,
say that, Christina. Get out of here.
Tonight obviously
he
was a
did.
combination. Tonight obviously was a
followed
combination
up
of
on
not having Robin Brown and
Yeah.
Tatum letting you down a little bit.
Yeah.
It's closer to equal on both those fronts than it is just, oh, you didn't have Brown and Rob. When I looked up and saw 38% shooting, I didn't think, oh, that's just because you don't have Rob and Brown. Like, they were just launching
Right.
shots and weren't running great offense.
Let me ask you this, Bobby and Josue, since we.
Did he really say that shit? Sorry, Bob. I know I cut you off a couple times, but I'm reading these comments.
I mean, he probably did, and he's probably. I mean, did anyone think PJ was going to hit 3 of those in a row?
He's
I don't
probably
know.
right.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
least of my
of
concern.
course, like,
That's a shot, I guess. But we were talking about Brogdon right before I went to FanDuel. But
PJ's about that life. You guys know that.
this was a question. That
Again, can I get like, am I crazy for not loving this loss?
For not loving
Why
it?
would you love the loss?
Yeah, no, you're not crazy.
No.
Like,
Bobby, you don't have to-
anyone
you
is
don't
just
have to-
throwing their hands up and saying, "This is what a throw."
I mean, the world. I mean, look,
You lost to one
the-
seed
the
tonight.
sky's not falling, but yeah, I think you have a reason to be upset about it. I mean, yeah.
Okay, let's just reel it in for 1 second, Bobby.
No, man, we're not done.
If there's a couple commenters that are going at you about caring, it doesn't mean that all 800 people who are watching right now are, or whatever. So we don't have to just focus on responding to that one guy. Like, you're not you're not crazy for being disappointed in this loss. No, you're not. There were some things that I don't think fans should like to see that happened during this game. Of course, if Jaylen Brown plays tonight and Rob plays tonight, maybe they win this game. Most likely they, all things being equal, they do. But that wasn't the case. So we have to comment on what we saw tonight, and there were some things throughout the game that we didn't like. My question to you guys: where was Brogdon tonight in the fourth quarter? They stuck with Grant tonight, who wasn't really effective, I would say, against Embiid. But
So you would have wanted White, Brogdon, Smart.
I'm not saying I needed to see all three of them in there at the same time. Obviously, White deserved to have his time in there tonight. But I think Brogdon had a great game too, and he does things out there on both ends of the court that, in situations where, you do want to see him out there. I don't know if necessarily Grant needed to be in that game, but I think just based on size alone, I guess he was.
Yeah, they liked him in this one, obviously, at the point against Embiid, which didn't go great, and as a shooter in the corner, which went much better. I thought he was nice and assertive on that end tonight, up faking at times, but hitting decisively after. You had a bad miss late, but I do think you need him out there, though, on Embiid. You probably need that size. You need the rebounding, certainly. So I don't hate that decision. What you're looking at are the combinations of the guards, and that continues to be a challenge for Missoula. It looks like he's going to go to Smart by default in those spots.
Right.
You benefit from a nice assist and the missed free throw that turned into the 3 off of his assist. Just a ridiculous play from him, one only Smart could make. So I don't hate that move. White, Brogdon, tougher question. I think you made the right choice here tonight, though. Where'd this one go wrong, ultimately? Grant's technical foul was a big moment. Blake being out there for a little stretch, I just didn't think did a great job.
Whoa. The beginning of the fourth
good
quarter,
out there.
he was giving them energy, man. Yo, you always look at,
Offensively,
trying to throw
but
some shade at Blake, huh?
Come on.
but when he's on Embiid,
We don't take Blake slander
there's
on the
one
show.
point-
See you, dude. No, I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
thank you.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn it.
you just needed a little bit stronger. And again, easier said than done going against the league MVP.
Yeah,
But
you
there were a few
flustered
plays
Bobby.
where
It's like,
Yeah.
Embiid just got wide open shots up over him. And he ends this one a +4, so you got some good minutes from
yeah,
him.
it was short lived, but I'm not mad at it. I mean, you need to throw someone out there to sort of stop the bleeding. If a guy's on his way to scoring 50 points.
Again, I wanted a little more Horford in this one. 34 minutes. He's off tomorrow. Maybe push him a little closer to 36, 37 in a matchup like this. I'm trying to see exactly where he subbed in the fourth. He comes in with 7:06 left after Embiid hit a pair of back-to-back shots. Celtics were up 3 after that Brogdon 3. McDaniels hit that 3, and then Embiid hit that pair of shots over Blake, where I just thought Blake didn't get good contests off over him. Brogdon missed a couple free throws there too. White got a layup off, and then it's a tie game when Horford comes in. So they obviously outscored the Celtics from that point on. But they had a nice little boost. Once I think Griffin and Horford were out there together actually for that stretch after, and then Griffin comes out with 3:40 left. So Griffin was out there for a long time playing point of attack against Embiid in the middle there. Why'd they have Horford off to the side so often, especially in the fourth quarter there? I just didn't see him guarding Embiid enough in this one. And he's really their Embiid stopper. Are they just trying to ease the load on him going into the playoffs?
Who?
Horford?
I don't know if that's
could be
necessarily the case, but I just feel like the way they were defending Embiid, it was just sort of like they're trying different things that weren't necessarily working for great stretches, right? I mean, obviously.
You got crushed by him.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
Bobby,
definitely.
I mean, we might as well mention it. Your guy got a few. You want to hate on Blake? Let's not stop there.
Yeah. How are you
going
to skip over Big Luke and go straight to Blake?
Luke and
Muscala and Luke were both out there at the same time.
Yeah. Out of the three, I think
fourth
Blake's
quarter.
the best, if you ask me. But.
No, Blake gave you good minutes there. I just think you should have gone to Horford over him in that Embiid matchup sooner. That's all I'm saying. And yeah, those Luke minutes weren't great. Only a -2 though through that stretch, and then Muscala is really the one.
Oh, come on.
1 shot, 4 rebounds in 13 minutes.
That dude's not going to play in the playoffs, so it doesn't even. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
You better hope not.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not looking like insurance right now for anybody.
After that first week of his Celtics stint, yeah, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall. However, the Celtics, though, executing down the stretch, I mean, it's just tough.
You know what I will say, though? Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, without Jalen, it's tough. But you had enough of a cushion to take care of this one. You had enough to execute offensively and put yourself in position to win. They just didn't do that. I mean, look, the defensive mistakes, PJ, I mean, look, this guy shot damn near, I don't care what he's shooting this year. I know it's not the same, but he shot damn near 50% from behind the arc last year. Like, you don't think that guy can make 3 threes in a row? I mean, I just don't understand the whole explanation of, we didn't think he was going to make that. So you were okay with leaving guys open behind the arc? Like, look, I need to see the entire press conference myself, but I mean, I'm just surprised that
you had two choices.
I'm surprised Joe Mazzulla would say that.
You need to keep Embiid in one-on-one coverage where they got burnt for 50 to that point, or help off of them, and that's where Embiid made some big plays. Those plays don't kill me. It's everything that happens earlier in the game. And back to that big point on Muscala and Cornette, Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
That worries. It's way down my list. I'm not going to say I'm pressing panic on this, but it is something I have an eye on. Is we had a debate a couple of nights ago after that Utah game. Can you go to Blake in a playoff spot? If a game like this happens, maybe you're missing Rob one night, Horford starting, Grant starting. Who are you going to off your bench? And it doesn't feel like they have a great idea of what they have there in their depth, big man depth right now. Are you going to Luke? Are you rolling with him and his limitations? Harden steps around the screen at one point and hits a 3 over that drop he has to play, which is a big limitation, I think, against this team. Though they've won a game playing Luke a ton against Philadelphia. So I think Luke is a guy you can trust more or less in that spot. You haven't really integrated Muscala at all, really. I mean, how many DMPs has he had at this point, or just games like this where he's not that involved? And then, of course, you have Blake, who in these spot starts, I love him. Feels like he's coming in cold a little bit in this one, though. And he has to work his way in. And again, I like what he gives you, Josue, but it just didn't turn the tide enough for them to be able to win this game. So do you have enough? If you lose Rob for a game, do you have enough in that big man depth right now to be able to win a game, especially against the Philadelphia? I think it's a real question.
Yeah, no, that's been a huge question all year, Bobby, and you're right. I mean, at the deadline, they had a decision that they had to make if they were going to go on and get your guy Jakob, and they didn't. They instead went with Muscala, and I just feel like we saw some glimpses of hope from him, but you're right. I don't think he's at a point where you can really depend on him much in the playoffs. I feel the same way about Luke, and we talk about a tight, you go to a tighter rotation in the playoffs. If you're playing 8 deep, neither of those guys are seeing the court, so you are going to get your Al minutes. You're going to hopefully get your Rob minutes because you're not getting those back-to-back games. You just have to pray that Rob can stay on the court. That's the X factor. It's an entire playoff series.
If you're fully healthy, I think they're winning these, right?
Your X factor is Rob Williams being on the court and being healthy enough to play and give you effective minutes. Because if not, the drop off is pretty significant, and you saw it tonight, especially if it's in a series against a team with a big like Embiid, obviously, or in Milwaukee you've got Lopez. So it doesn't get that much easier, right? You've got guys that you're playing. I don't know who it's going to be in the first round, but you've got opponents with very talented big guys, and you need your best players to be active on the court. And with Rob, it's always about availability more than anything else. So if they need to rest him the next 3 games, I don't care, because they're going to need him every single game in the playoffs. If that's 20
play
more
tomorrow.
games,
I love him getting that spot started.
fine, play tomorrow. But
yeah.
get your 20 minutes in and sit down, because the important stuff is in about whatever it is, a week or 2.
Well, here's the question: is now you're gonna clinch this Philly or 2 seed rather with a win tomorrow probably, and then I don't know
magic
if
number's
Tatum,
1.
Yeah, so you just need 1 win over your final 3 to clinch that. 2, you're done with the 1 seed race for all intents and purposes. It's rest time, right? Those last 2 games are probably going to be big rest night, or even tomorrow. You probably sit down Tatum after this one, right? And then Horford's definitely sitting. So you're in rest mode at this point. You ramp up's over. You hope that this 11-game stretch, and I'll give it to them. Joe's right. They're number 1 in offense, number 1 in defense over their last 11 games coming into this one. So they played at a high level. They scored that statement win, I thought, against Milwaukee, winning by 41. You got a great win against Sacramento a couple weeks ago. So you've done some really good things in recent weeks. You just hope you're healthy enough and connected enough and in that mindset where it's go time, round 1. You cannot, Jimmy, look on the other side, and we'll get to possible opponents in a minute here. You can't look up and see Toronto round 1 and be like,
here you go.
All right.
We know you can't.
Guys.
We know you can't.
You can't do that, or else it's going to be a longer series than you expect. And this is something this team's done. I keep hearing Joe say it, Josue. And we know we don't hear Joe call this team out often. We know we don't hear him criticize individual guys often. But I do think he slips in some things sometimes that kind of send a message or give some light on what he's thinking from a negative standpoint about this team. We got to continue to do these things. We got to do these things over and over again. You hear him say it in the huddle. He said it again the other day at practice. I think we've done some really good things over the last 11 games. Got to continue to do them. I don't think you continued to do them tonight. I think you came into this game a little slow, had a bad first quarter, and then you're chasing the rest of the way, scrambling at crunch time to catch up and doing some incredible things. I mean, that comeback attempt down 7 with, a minute and a half left or whatever it was, that was some incredible stuff to almost win this game. But it's one of those situations, and we've seen it over the last couple of years, Jimmy, where you're like, all right, you scrambled and played perfect late. Where was that all game? So I don't know. Are they ready for the playoffs, guys?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't want to use the phrase that they're bored. I don't think that's the case, especially in a game like this.
Again, you can't be bored. It's
you
April.
I think it happens.
Well, I mean,
I don't think it should happen tonight, but it
definitely
does happen.
happens, but it's not going to happen against.
That's an excuse in January, Jimmy.
You think it happened tonight, Jimmy? I don't think it happened tonight. I don't
think it should have happened tonight. But I think there are games down the stretch where you just kind of, it's the tedious of the.
I'm sick of hearing
schedule.
they're bored. I'm sick of hearing about traffic. I'm sick of hearing that. And this is the other thing. This is the other thing we keep hearing from. Oh, we get our opponent's best every night. Well, you should expect it by now. I'm just, is this team locked in right now and in playoff mode? I really question it some nights. And again, they're great more often than not. But you have these slip-ups where you're like, come on, this is a big year, guys. Like, I feel like I'm John tonight.
Yeah, you kind of are playing that dude, which is all right. That's okay. I mean, this team deserves it.
This is a big year, guys. This is a big year. This is huge. And I just hope they know it. And I hope they're able to flip that switch next week when the playoffs get started.
Agree. And before we move on to the next thing, because I do have a quote from Joe Mazzulla that I want to read, we want to remind everybody that our show is also brought to you by our good friends at Athletic Greens, AG1. So you guys want to visit athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. You guys know I'm a huge AG1 guy. Every morning, it's the first thing I do when I wake up. Pour it in a glass of water down the hatch, and I'm off. 75 vitamins, minerals, prebiotics, probiotics. My favorite word, adaptogens. It's just,
that is a fair word.
It's just a great green drink that gives you everything that you're most likely not getting in your day-to-day, everyday diet. I know I can speak for myself where, when mom and dad aren't watching, guys, like we're not eating our veggies the way we should be. So this is a good way to get all that out of the way, and then you can just go on with the rest of your balanced diet. So I'm a huge AG1 guy. I subscribe to it. You can cater the subscription to every 30 days, every 60 days, every 45 days, so you're not worried about these things adding up on you. You can also pause it whenever you want. And there is a 90-day money-back guarantee if, for whatever reason, you are not satisfied, which I would be stunned if you weren't. But, guys, it's spring. Summer's coming. People are starting to think about getting their bodies right, for the warm weather. And I think, again, this is just a good way to get you those nutrients that you need. So, again, that's athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. I got a long quote sent to me by our producer, Amit, and this is from Joe Mazzulla talking about tonight's game and basically Joel Embiid, because Embiid was the Sixers tonight. So I'm gonna read it to the best of my abilities, and here we go. This is Joe. They made us play like I said. We didn't get him. He didn't get the transition. We didn't follow him, and we had, I think, our offense. We just weren't like elite tonight, And when your offense is elite, it puts pressure on your defense, or isn't elite. It puts pressure on your defense against great players like tonight. And so when you have some empty possessions and he's playing that way from mid-range, you got to stick with it as long as you can. And if Tucker doesn't make those threes, it's a completely different game. Or if we let him keep going, maybe he misses a couple. We don't know. But I thought our guys competed. I thought they were very detailed in keeping them off the free throw line. And I thought he just had a great night. And we weren't tremendous on the offensive end like we normally are.
No.
So he didn't say that shit. He didn't say I didn't think.
Maybe it went long.
He would make those.
Is now telling me that he auto-transcribed it, so thank you.
This is why you got to go back. By the way, on the other side, I love this from Doc Rivers. We did so many things wrong, but what we did right was Joel Embiid.
Did you say that?
What we did right, Joel Embiid.
Doc said the MVP race is over after tonight because Embiid scored half their points.
We did so many things wrong. I love that from Doc.
And yeah, he dropped the. Hey, listen. The way these guys are playing, Doc means business when he drops the listen. Hey, listen, guys.
Right.
We did so many things wrong.
And here's Embiid's stat line tonight since we didn't put it up yet.
52. Ridiculous.
And you know what? Hey, listen.
Ridiculous.
Listen. The MVP race is over. It's Joel Embiid.
It is. It probably is over.
He's a level above right now, isn't he, from what we've seen in the past? And I still think his defense. You go back and watch some of the clips from early in his career, and he floated across the court defensively. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was so spry, and he's had all these injuries and stuff, packed on a lot more muscle, I think, that slows him down a little bit. But offensively, this is top of the top as far as big men go all time. He gets to that free throw line, it's over. He pulls up from that spot and it's going in. That and one, I knew right from when it left his fingertips that was going right in. And you're going to have to throw a lot more at him this year, I think, to hold him back. Now, on the flip side, I don't know what's going on with Harden. I think he's just trying to throw the ball to Embiid right now and hope he can figure it out. I just saw nothing from Harden in this one. But Embiid, he's at the peak of his powers right now. And he's challenging even you, who might have the most.
Who, me?
You, the Celtics, who might have the most amount of defenders to throw at him out of any team.
I mean, look at the stat line, dude. 20 of 25 from the field. And these aren't just like dunks. He was
hitting mid-range.
Was
Want to put up the
mid-range
shot
is-
chart?
Bobby, where's that shot chart?
Where's the shot
I
chart?
would love a shot chart tonight for that one. He brought the mid-range game back
He
single-handedly
lit that
tonight.
shit up. Look at the shot chart.
The game done changed. It's back to mid-range.
He shot 5 for 6 in the fourth, by the way.
Yeah.
Clutch
wanted
closing
it.
performance. Most of those. This is a pretty shot chart. This is absolutely going up. Hold on. Here we go.
Let me just put it up.
This is absolutely going up. He goes. This is a beaut.
Am I? Oh, I can do it? Here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Look at that. 20 for 25, and almost all of it from that left elbow.
Yeah, he was just trying to
Yeah.
beat the shot clock, I think, on that three too.
One
Otherwise-
3-point attempt from him tonight. And yeah, of course, he's got the field.
And
goal
look
right
at that in the
at
restricted
rim,
zone. He
but-
didn't miss a shot.
You're right. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12 outside the
Crazy.
cylinder. 12 made field goals outside the cylinder.
All right, now put Dwayne Desmond's up.
Now here's the fourth quarter. I mean, clutch baskets, tough shots too.
All right, now hey, put Tatum's up from the fourth quarter.
Yeah, let's see.
Let's see Tatum's.
You showed us the good, show us the ugly.
shot clock.
There it is.
Oh my lord.
No, that's just the fourth
Lord
quarter.
of
Though.
mercy.
It's ugly.
Full game. Here you go.
That shot that they gave him that shot.
Look at that.
The
Yeet.
shot he took in the fourth quarter at the end of the game was not where they're saying it was. It was like
And none of those threes were trying to beat the shot clock.
And further-
Those are just
further
threes.
Yeah,
This is,
those
this
are
is-
just deep threes.
Those are just attempts,
That
right?
clanged.
Attempts
So-
that nobody asked for.
All right, Bobby, take it off. I can't look at that anymore. It's disgusting. Actually, Blorp said it perfectly. Disgusting. So that was talking shot charts.
Gross.
Yeah, so Embiid he just had a hell of a night. And you know what? I said this before, but Embiid, I don't want to go off a tangent, but you, Josue, you too, Bobby more recently, but we've been lucky enough to watch a lot of NBA games live and like opposing players coming into the arena. I put Embiid I think I might put him at number one, at just a guy that you have to watch play live to understand just like how like good and effective he is. Like he's like a man amongst boys out there sometimes. And I'm not just saying that because tonight I've thought about this for a while.
No,
and
that's
he's
spot
up
on.
there with like Curry. You have to see live. LeBron you still have to see live. I haven't seen Ja Morant live yet, but I imagine he's becoming a player that a lot of people want to see live.
He had
for
an
the stuff that
iconic
he
dunk in
does.
Boston last year in that loss.
So Embiid is right up there, not just because tonight, but tonight's
Did
just
you mention
a
Giannis?
great example. No, I didn't.
Yeah,
because I
Giannis can
actually,
do that.
no,
Oh,
I
give me a
actually,
break.
I actually hate Giannis's game, and I don't have any interest in watching it.
Oh yeah, you hate.
You and
it's
John.
boring. He bores Jimmy.
I'm serious. Giannis is the most boring game for like a superstar player in the NBA by far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
By far. And I'm talking offensively. I know what he can do at times defensively with some blocks, but his game is literally just head down, drive to the basket, and that's it. Uses athleticism to either get fouled or he takes a layup. Embiid, obviously athletic, but he does so much more than that. And I'm telling you, like, he just has a way of dominating the game out there where you just have to see it live. You really do. And like the emotional aspect of it. Embiid gets under guys' skin. He's emotional. He gets into it.
Yeah.
Fans get after him, right?
The crowd,
Giannis
the way
doesn't
he,
really
the
have
way he
that
can make the
aspect
crowd
either.
go. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at tonight.
This could be a fun series between these two teams, these two cities, of course. We haven't seen it since the bubble, right?
Yeah.
No.
That was a
No.
sleepy series. No Simmons, sweep. Kemba was awesome in that series.
Look at this stat. Centers with 5. So Embiid, this is his fifth 50-point game of his career. There are 3 centers in the history of the NBA with 5 50-point games. Embiid, Kareem, and Wilt. So
It's elite
guys,
company, Jimmy.
yeah, when you only need to say one, when it's just a first name only.
I know, right? First name basis, right?
Kareem, Wilt, LeBron.
And he'll raise his
Say
all-time
Joel now.
standing. He'll raise his all-time standing with this MVP this year. I think even Bob Ryan would tell you he's in that Hakeem class at this point, skill-wise. Time to put a title on the board, though. They need it this year. And I still look at that team, and I can't
don't know.
imagine them beating Boston in 7 games if Boston's healthy. It's incomprehensible. I mean, tonight they nearly drop a game with bad clutch time performance against a team without Brown and Rob. And you're fully healthy and you're gunning for it tonight. So I'm worried if I'm the Sixers about how it went against Boston this year. Bad loss on opening night. Bad loss in February where it was Cornette and Muscala all game. Rob and Al were out. And then that last game where they made a little bit of a comeback at the end, but Tatum gets that shot off at the buzzer and they win. The Celtics just continue to own this team for the most part, and it's got to be concerning if you're Philly that you're going to see them round 2.
Well, it sucks for Embiid because he's honestly so good, but he's carrying a bunch of
These
guys.
These guys around him do nothing. Harden tonight did nothing.
Harden might be washed. Is Harden washed?
He
didn't even want the ball. He didn't even want
for Harden's like for who he's been, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's the beginning of it, right? Beginning of the end, if you ask me. But yeah, I mean, he didn't even he's not that same player anymore where he's demanding the ball and he's trying to take the manage into his own hands.
It looks like he brought the fat suit back up.
He usually scares you, doesn't he? You're keeping an eye on him, and you're like, oh, he's gonna go on one of those runs. Tonight, it just didn't happen.
I feel like that's the Harden this team needs.
He was like Tatum out there tonight.
To strike
Bobby.
Fear. That's the Harden this team needs to strike postseason fear. That's what this Philly team is missing because, I mean, look, even at full strength, obviously the Celtics nearly topped them on this one, but at the same time, though, you got one heck of a performance from Embiid, arguably his best performance of the season, and you just inch out a win. That could be the difference of Philly really being a favorite or at least having a better shot at knocking off the Celtics in the best of 7 series. If James Harden can just revert back to who he was, that stone cold killer.
He shot 3 shots at the rim tonight.
He's not going into the playoffs on a high note.
And that would be a revelation too. I was just gonna say, Jimmy. I mean, playoff Harden, it's not usually great. So
there's talk of him.
Something new.
Right. There's talk of him going to Houston after this year.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's serious talk.
Also talk of Jalen going.
I don't know why Houston would even want him at this point. They got a young team going on down there. What do they want? Embiid to go down there and poison everybody with
Harden?
Harden to go down there and just take control of everything. I don't know why
on a big $250 million contract.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah, but that's a story for another day. Want to take a quick look at the first round race? Does that intrigue you guys at all?
I do want to, but let's do it a few more minutes. Is there anything else on this game? I mean, we didn't talk a whole lot about White, did we?
No, and he deserves it. I mean, he gave them a ton. That chase down block early I sent you guys was awesome. Nice. Yeah. The 3, of course, that gave them a chance late, but floater after floater. I thought he played a little passive early. Didn't get into his shot, didn't get into his drives when he caught the ball, hesitated a few times, but then he got super aggressive after halftime. That floater for him is automatic right now. And he moves the ball, never makes mistakes. 2 turnovers here. Feels like that's the most he's ever going to give you. I'm glad he's a constant at this point. And we would have been screaming if he was still on the bench in crunch time. And that's what makes that crunch time debate we had earlier a little tricky at this point, because if Smart's a staple, and we'll have that debate throughout the postseason, you would be debating White versus Brogdon, and White's been so good that it leaves Brogdon on the bench in a game like this, which is tough because Brogdon was hitting everything tonight. I mean, him and White were so good. They've built a little bit of chemistry at this point. Yeah. We really like those 2 guys out there together. Joe's going to have to get a little more flexible once the postseason starts. Every game's so important that if it's clear Smart doesn't have it. I don't think tonight was one of those nights. I thought he was okay. I thought he was fine. Fouled a lot, though. That's becoming an issue.
Who is this? Sorry.
Not the same. Smart.
But I will say Smart's play off of the missed free throw was like
and that's why you want him
to
out
play
there.
the game. You're right.
Yeah, that's why you
That's
want
the
him out
Marcus
there.
Smart experience. That's why he's out there to do stuff like that, right?
So I don't know. What do you get? Do you got to start pairing these three guys up a little bit more? Tonight would have been the night to do it because there was no ground. And just play your game against a bigger Philly team. Forget Grant. Go with those three.
That's kind of what I go back to the game against Utah when it was like Joe was trying to compete.
Muscala and Cornet, yeah.
It's like, no, play Derek White.
Even tonight,
play your best players.
Why does Muscala play tonight as much as he did?
Again, it was just
because you don't have Rob.
Size on size, I guess. But again, I just go back to like you have the sixth man of the year on your team.
How many minutes did he play?
He played like 27 or something like that.
It's not enough.
They were all floating around the same number, except I think White had 40 tonight.
Yeah, so you just subbing those guys in and out like crazy. White had 40. I mean, that's just great that they've reached that point with him. He's their best guard. But Brogdon, I mean, the shot making, I know I like to highlight his other deficiencies because I don't love to, just have a parade over a guy making a million shots if he's not doing other things. Mm-hmm. But he was really, really good tonight. And he probably needed to be out there more than he did. 27 minutes just isn't enough, especially when those minutes are going to – let's look at it. Griffin with 8.
Yeah.
Muscala with 13. Hauser with 3. I mean, what are you even doing there?
I mean,
it's different when you're down a few guys in a game like tonight. You're trying stuff.
Did they put Brogdon in? Did they put Brogdon in on the final play of the game? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Final play was Grant was still out there, I think.
I know they put Hauser in to take a 3, and he missed it. Specifically, they put him in for that reason. But it's like, man, Brogdon's been one of the most, best three-point shooters all year too. So
he subbed out at 3:30, came back in at 1:30, got an assist to Tatum, came out with for the final play.
Okay, so he was in there. That's fine then. Take it back. Anyways, so I just wanted to make sure we got a little Derek White talk in there, but certainly he's a guy that they're going to be leaning on, in this playoff round here. He's an unbelievable.
Oh no, my mistake. I was looking at the first score. So he comes out with 7 minutes, doesn't come back into the final play.
Okay, so I was right.
Gonna say, I don't think he was in that final play.
No, he was in for the final play.
He wasn't for the final
play.
So
he sat all the way into the final play.
He sat the whole fourth.
Yeah.
All the meaningful minutes of the fourth.
Right.
Yep.
He didn't come in. He came in for that final play, but prior to that, I think they put Hauser in to try to take a quick 3 off an inbound that Hauser missed. So anyways, we're just picking plays apart here now. But, this is what we said earlier in the show, Bobby, that, like, play your best players. It doesn't necessarily have to – you don't have to always play, counter what the other team's doing. Why don't you go on the offensive, put the guys out there that you want, and force the other team to make some adjustments.
Especially if you're trying to be an offensive team.
Yeah.
Right. You're literally saying that your offense, struggled a bit tonight. Well, then put in your better offensive players in situations where you need them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Muscala, Cornet, and Griffin give you next to nothing on offense.
Correct.
Passing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that was an interesting lineup. I think it was White out there with those 3 guys, and it was another second unit. It maybe Brogdon. I don't recall, but
real quick. Before we get out of here, I do want to touch on that first round series.
Okay, so let's move to that now.
So you're locked in at 2, let's say at this point. Miami won tonight. They have 3 to go. They have a 2-game lead on the Hawks and Raptors, who are both tied. They both won tonight. 4-game lead on the Bulls, who are looking more and more likely to be that 10 seed. So less and less likely that you're going to see the Bulls at this point. Who have a losing magic number of 2. So just a loss or wins by those other teams, or a loss and wins by those other teams is going to knock Chicago out of your first round possibilities. So at this point, you're looking at the Heat. I think a strong possibility it's going to be them, though they're only a game back of the Nets. Nets have the tiebreaker over them. So the Nets still have a magic number of 2 to clinch that 6. They had a bad loss tonight. They keep losing. So I don't think you can rule out Miami from moving up to 6. And that would be really great if they moved up to 6 and Brooklyn fell down, or it's Atlanta or whoever else there. Toronto.
Yeah, either Brooklyn or Atlanta would be great.
Dude, you're
Yeah,
naming
those are
so many
ideal ones.
teams. I can't even like keep.
Well,
up
it's so
with-
packed. I think at this point, this is what it was coming into today, according to Basketball Reference. I think the Heat have a roughly 40% chance coming into today, and it probably got better with their win of being that first round opponent. Now, the thing is, if it's Toronto versus the Heat, Toronto's beat the Heat in 3 out of 4 games this year. The Hawks and Heat matchup is at 2-1 Miami. So I think you're looking at this point, and Atlanta does have the tiebreaker over the Raptors. If it's Raptors Heat, you might see the Raptors. But if it's Hawks Heat, which it is right now, you're probably going to see the Heat round 1. And overall, just looking at the picture, it's looking like it's going to be the Heat.
Josue, your thoughts?
I mean, out of the 3, it's not ideal, but I like the Celtics' chances. Does that series go 7? Maybe. If the Celtics play at their best, I think they can win it in 5, honestly. I mean, look, the Celtics team can especially when you have home court advantage on your side, you take care of home court, you go to Miami, you take 1, and it's going to change things. Now, the coaching matchup is the most interesting part of this series, right? Or maybe one of the most interesting parts because, man, Eric Spoelstra, he's got a lot in his bag, right? He certainly knows how to counter opposing head coaches throughout the stretch of a best-of-7 series. So he's going to pull out all of his tricks, and it'll be interesting to see how Joe reacts to that. So if it does go deep, I think that would be the leading cause. However, that's a great moment for Joe Mazzulla to take that in stride and go into the next series. You know, like if the Celtics can get out of that. Now, look, I know if people are worried about the Celtics, you know, going 7 games in Miami, maybe going 7 games in the second round, and you know, if that's the case, or if that's going to be their path to the NBA Finals, then they potentially run out of gas. I mean, that's always the concern, right? That's always what potential teams, especially one that's coming off of a run to the NBA Finals last year, you always have to worry about that type of thing. But like, look, they can't control at this point who they're going to face in the first round. But you know, out of the 3, I do think Miami is the one that you don't want to see the most. But I still like the Celtics' chances. I don't think it changes.
Yeah, I think we all agree. I think we all still like the Celtics' chances, regardless of who it is. But
Right.
the Heat have that like been there,
Yeah,
done
a trip
that
to Miami wouldn't be too bad either. But
mentality to them, and they play tough. Jimmy Butler is like that dude who.
Jimmy, would
like,
you go down to Miami?
Only if you guys are going. We'll go. If we all go
Yes.
together.
That would
I'll
be
go down to
fun.
Miami. I can't say that I'll come back though. At least not.
It's gotta be.
It's
It's
not
gotta be a
alive.
game 7. It's gotta be a game 7. Is what it is. So if the Celtics lose, he stays. If the Celtics win, everyone's gonna have to talk him into coming back. So I like.
Yeah.
I like
You
that.
remember that infamous Saturday night Jimmy versus the Lakers like a couple years ago?
Oh,
Yes.
There'd be a couple
Yes.
shows. There'd be a couple shows like that if I went to Miami.
I
think.
need to
How could
find
I
that
forget?
episode. That'd be a fun one to watch back.
Um,
I'm more concerned, and I've said this all year, and maybe I'm crazy at this point because they just keep slipping. The Raptors are the more serious threat than the Heat to the Celtics. Not only because I think they play a style, and Jaylen Brown has said this. I can pull up the quote. The Raptors style really gives the Celtics issues. Long arms, randomness, tough to make reads against them because guys are in different positions unpredictably, and it's a lot of wings, so they can guard interchangeably across the perimeter and help inside very aggressively.
Yeah.
Their
Plus
shooting-
Jalen sucks against the Raptors, but yeah.
Their shooting stinks, though. I mean, they might have the worst shooting in the league in Toronto. And Miami, pretty similar. I think the Heat's offense is about as bad as any team in the league except for those tanking teams. So there's a reason that you're seeing these teams round 1. I don't think
Sure.
any of them are putting you on upset alert, but these are tougher teams than you're expecting.
I like
to see.
Josue's point though about, and I think John may have made it a couple games ago too. I'm not sure, but just the coaching matchup between Mazzulla and Spoelstra.
Even Nurse is the tricky
Oh, of
coach.
course, yeah, Nurse too. I don't like
yeah.
to give Nurse credit because he's a little complainer.
I don't think it's going to be
But-
the Hawks. I think we're looking at Raptors and Heat, probably.
Yeah, but when you get into a playoff series, like coaching becomes more important because now you have to make adjustments. There's a little bit of a chess game going on, right? So if you show up game 2 with the same exact, roll the ball out there and just do it over again, you're gonna make any adjustments, You're gonna get undressed out
See,
there.
I think there's less of a chance that the Celtics do that against Miami, though, because they played that East Final Series. They know these guys. They respect Bam. They respect Jimmy. I think
Right.
you're on high alert seeing them. Remember last year, the
I'm
Nets
not
come
saying they're
in?
going to take it for granted. I'm just saying you have to make the necessary in-game adjustments or
Yeah.
between game adjustments. What worked, what didn't work, and you know that Spoelstra is going to have all his ducks in a row because that's what he does. That's why he's
Yeah.
considered the best coach in the NBA.
Remember last year,
Yeah,
everyone's
I was
a
gonna
little.
say, man, that back and forth, that was a chess match between Ime and Spoelstra.
The Heat made it tough, and Jimmy was incredible in that Game 6 to force a Game 7. I wasn't
Yeah, you were,
expecting him
Jimmy.
back to Miami.
Thank you.
He won that game for them, and Hero was hurt. Remember, Lowry's probably done at this point, and that's still the case, and it's probably worse this
Damn,
year.
Bobby.
And their role guys haven't stepped up for the most part. Gabe Vincent
Gabe
hasn't been as
Vincent
good
was-
this year.
Yeah, he was the talk of the season last year. That's a good point.
Max Strus, I think, is just a little bit worse this year, and
Shoes.
to mention the guy we mentioned earlier, PJ Tucker with Miami last year is now Caleb Martin, Kevin Love, Cody Zeller. So serious downgrades on this team across the board, and I think it's just been a weird year for them behind the scenes too. I just really get that sense.
Yeah, me too. Their vibe is just off this year. That's a good point too, Bobby. Yeah.
I said that week 1 when I was down there, and everyone freaked out. Oh, what are you talking about? They ended up having a very strange season. I heard the way Spoelstra was talking about Lowry. I heard just a lot of frenetic stuff behind the scenes out of them. You had a weird off-season thing where, and again, a lot of it's Lowry, I think. And they keep putting out all these reports about him too, it looks like, where they're like, oh, we weren't expecting this Lowry. This guy's got to get in elite shape, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
So weird entry to the season. The Celtics ended up winning that game, I think, against them. But if you're looking at the scores between these two teams this season, I think the Heat have the season series, I want to say. Yeah, they won that grind in December.
Yeah.
They won a game in Boston in overtime. And then the Celtics had that early season pair of games. So, again, you're going to be leaning on making shots against both these teams because I think they're going to disrupt you in certain types of ways with the zone and everything else that they do. You just got to hit your shots and run your offense, and you're going to breeze through these teams because their offenses aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Do they extend it just enough, Jimmy, as you said, where it's 6-7 games? That's not what you want, especially if Philly is going to cruise. This is the other thing. Philly's probably lined up against Brooklyn round 1, right? That's probably a sweep.
Well, that's the reason why I say the Celtics playing their best basketball because it's just I don't see it being even close if they're playing that way offensively, right? And I don't just mean them making 18 to 22 3-pointers. I think it stretches beyond that, right? Like that's the type of offense, high power offense when the ball's swinging and guys like Jalen and Tatum are obviously on and Derek White's getting his and Malcolm Brogdon's coming off the bench, like where it's coming from all different angles. I just think it's going to be too much for the Miami Heat to contend. I feel like I just think in a best of 7 series, that's where you're going to see the Celtics. That's going to be the advantage. But the coaching matchup is always something to consider, especially when you're talking about Eric Spoelstra. So it would be interesting. It would be, but I still have the Celtics heavily favored for sure.
By the way, last thing I got tonight, I've been baffled by the West for a lot of this year, and this is obviously getting very far ahead. I think Phoenix is going to be that team. I think they're going to be that team that emerges out of the West and actually
because Denver is looking like chumps right now.
Durant is
Denver. Oh,
Denver. Sorry, I don't know why I said it like that. Denver.
I was like, we talking about baseball?
It was like a Denver plural S, but
no, Denver's tough, and the Suns are gonna have a tough road out there, but they don't lose with Durant.
I was gonna say, how tough is it gonna be?
Oh no, I think if you can
those
get
three guys together, like between Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, like it's just there's always a weak spot. It's almost impossible to defend, and I feel like the teams out west just don't have
Dayton. Yeah.
They don't have enough time to game plan for this, right? Like Ayton's like your 4th best player now. Like, man, there's just so many weapons, and people can say what they want about the bench or about their defense, how much they lost in that part of the floor, but does it really matter? I mean, if you're out west and you got that firepower offense like that, and you have arguably the greatest scorer on your team, like, man,
Dude.
they just look scary.
The Suns on paper are so damn scary. If they can just get some playing time together, I don't
Jimmy,
know. I don't.
now you know why I wanted Durant last summer.
Hey, I was right there, but
Ah,
Bobby,
come on,
doesn't
man.
it doesn't it kind of have to end like Durant Brown like 1-on-1 like with the game
That would be
counting
something.
down
We
the
would be talking
seconds?
about oh man, this year would have been so different if that happened. I mean, we don't have to have that full conversation, but we can if you want.
No, no,
Like,
no.
We'll get there.
No,
We'll get there later, I'm
I'm
sure.
talking about the NBA Finals. Like
Ooh, I like this.
it's almost written. It's got to be like Suns versus Celtics.
nah, Jimmy,
Give
that's
me a
not
pick.
happening. Not you, Jimmy.
That's what I'm rooting for, Jimmy.
Yeah,
But
Jimmy
yeah,
J. That's not happening. Give me
No,
Suns
that's not
versus
happening.
Celtics. Durant with the ball at half court. Jaylen Brown switched on to him or whatever, and it's like the seconds are counting down, and like, how's it gonna end? Like that's kind of how this whole thing has to go down, I think.
That's what the NBA wants.
Oh, for sure. And that's good news.
time for
That's
bed,
good news
Joe
for the
Sweater.
Celtics. Just is that your bedtime? Oh my gosh.
I guess we gotta end the show.
Oh,
It's 10 minutes to midnight. It must be.
Yeah. That was a little
it
lullaby
really?
we got.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
it
get
actually
outta
is
here.
time to go. So
No, don't listen to my phone. Get
No,
out.
No, I didn't know it was
actually
that late.
is any last thoughts before we got a quick turnaround here. This is gonna be a short shelf life show, I guess.
I'm excited. Raptors in town. You know I love the Raptors. You know I
Yeah.
got good respect for them. Let's
Back
see
to
it.
back.
Showing
Are
up
they-
in purple tomorrow?
Are they a team that can challenge the Celtics? It's a first round preview potentially, and you can do your part in avoiding them by beating them twice here. That'll probably knock them below Atlanta.
Yeah, that'll
that
do it.
lower tier playing round. So you can do, even though your seed's set in stone a little bit here, beat the Raptors twice, and you're knocking them out of that picture. And I think anybody would rather play the Hawks than the Raptors, even if you don't have as much respect for the Raptors as me.
Facts.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a team that's looking for wins. Obviously, at this point of the season, they're trying to add to the momentum that they have going into this one. So yeah, Celtics can not only be the spoilers, but they can show how deep they are, even if guys aren't playing. Which I'm sure guys will probably get some rest, whether it's tomorrow because it's the second night of a back-to-back, or if we're talking about go to sleep. Shut up. I almost saying that as a jingle as I read it. Because it's the second night of back-to-back, or that matchup Friday night. We'll see. Yo, not yet. Shut up. Can you just remind everybody that it's a reminder, okay? This isn't some kind of app that like sings me to sleep. Like, can
What
we?
does it have to
Is
Can
it
we
calm?
play that narrative?
Is
Like, I
it
think
calm?
John created that freaking narrative. Like, that's not what this thing does. It's just a reminder, right?
What is it reminding you to do?
Fucking take your ass to bed. That's what it says, pretty much.
Yeah. Stop watching NBA.
I don't want
highlights.
people thinking that like I got like a jingle that sings me to bed. Like,
Sure
no,
sounds
it's not-
like you do, bud. That's okay.
That's not what's going on.
Shoutoutcom.com. Hey, nothing wrong with a little sleep music or a sleep story. Our good friends at com.com would tell you the same. All right, that's it for us.
That would keep me
My
up.
final thought is I want to see something else before the end of this regular season. Just show up a couple more times. Let me go into the playoffs on a high note. I don't want this no-show stuff from guys like Tatum. I want them to be in. Prior to that, I mean, this guy, we were just talking about how, is he in the zone? Is he locked in? Is he, because he was, really had a couple of unbelievable performances as of late. It's just the highs and the lows that kind of get me. So no more lows. How about that? Well, I'll just agree, no more lows. So once again, we want to thank our sponsors.
Agree with that.
Shout out FanDuel. Remind you guys that you can go to FanDuel.com/Boston. Let me find it here. FanDuel.com/Boston.
Yes.
Where are these stupid things? Yeah, they are. FanDuel.com/Boston. Receive $200 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bet.
Take advantage of those bonus bets, everyone.
Guaranteed. You guys want to bet for? You can toss your bets in for baseball futures right now. Maybe you want to hit that Red Sox over. Maybe the Sox are better than everybody thought after all.
Playoffs.
Yeah,
I'm not counting on it.
there you go. Or you can go with you can just bet against the Sox. How about that? Just freaking bet against
I
the
love
Sox.
the Red Sox. This year is going to be really tough.
I don't know. We'll see. Don't count them out yet.
I'm counting on them.
So that is FanDuel.com, and then we have our good friends at Athletic Greens. Don't forget athleticgreens.com/garden for a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your
Love
first
it.
purchase. Also, guys, we should remind everybody a lot of Patriots news going on right now, and I think the guys did their Patriots podcast today. So check that out on the Patriots part.
Was
of
John
Yeah,
on
we're
there?
live.
John better not have been on there. No, I don't think he was. I think John's still getting over.
He was.
Oh, he was on there? Here I am thinking
So
that
he chose Pats over
So
Celtics.
he chose
tonight.
Pats over Celtics. Okay.
Oh, so that's how you guys look at it? Not that
Okay.
maybe he's tired from doing that, guys? All
He
right.
chose Pats. Interesting. You know why he did? This is such a John move. There's so much drama surrounding the Patriots right now.
Yeah,
And John
yeah, exactly. You know why?
loves the drama.
Especially today. Everything's been going on with Mac and all that. Yeah.
I was planning on watching it anyways, but I'm definitely gonna be watching it now just to see like what types. Look at this. Look at these are what they were talking about. Mac Jones seeking outside advice last season really pissed Bill Belichick off.
Hey, get out of that package.
One of the
Get out,
things.
get
Here we
out
go.
of the-
What's
get-
this
what
one?
are you going through the Patriot package? What's going
Belichick
on?
refused to endorse Mac Jones as a starter at owner. We know that. And then today it came out that Belichick
Yeah, what show is this?
has shopped Mac Jones this offseason. So there's a lot of Patriots drama going on, guys. So after you watch our Celtics show, head on over to the Patriots part of our YouTube channel.
Do you see Mac being the starter week 1?
Yeah,
No,
I
Tom
do.
Brady's coming back.
Oh, that would be my dream. Don't do that.
Just
to me,
kidding.
Josue.
You think he is, Jimmy?
I think he is. I mean, honestly, I don't know what to think. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he asked for a trade if all this stuff is true.
And then it's Zappy time?
Zappy fever. I don't know, but those guys are talking about it.
I don't know about that.
Everyone who's been. I did some Patriots shows last year. You guys know my thoughts on the state of the Pats and where Belichick is, and I'm just extremely down on the whole thing. I'm
I
gonna
know.
watch their show to see what their takes are, but my take is that, Belichick, thanks for everything, but it's time. It is time. Some of the decisions that
Feeling
he's
like a
made
little, feeling
over
like
the
a
last
little
few years,
feeling like
Right.
a little Bayheim up at Syracuse, Jimmy.
roster building.
Yes,
Yeah,
something like
that
that,
might be a
Jim.
really
I
good
mean,
comparison,
Bobby, you're
Bobby.
right.
That might be a really good comparison.
And
So,
it took Syracuse a long time and a
And
lot
look,
of
there's
damage.
nothing wrong with that. It's time. I mean, we're talking about a whole nother generation of players here.
yeah, there's people are talking about Lamar. There's the whole Lamar aspect
Oh,
floating
you
around out
gotta
there,
get if
too.
Lamar wants to come, you have to get him. Oh,
That's not the Belichick way, Bobby. You know
Well,
that.
that's a killer.
Ask Brady about
Hey,
that.
he's available. Everybody's available for a price. It's just a matter if the Patriots want to pay for it. So, anyways, guys, we've done enough teasing the Pats, and anyways, I can't believe John's a traitor. We'll say that right now. Tomorrow's show, if John's on, I want the
What
comment
do you
section.
mean? He's repping the network.
I want the comment section to flood, just calling John a traitor.
You make it sound like he went on Nesson and was just like, "I'm not doing that tonight, guys. Sorry." Like, oh, he did it.
Here I am thinking that he was sick and that I can't talk.
He did it for
probably
the
just
label,
talked
man.
his voice out. Get Lamar Jackson. Hey, Bobby's now hijacking the comments to push this Lamar Jackson narrative.
did
I
it for
love
the-
Lamar.
For
Jimmy,
the-
I
for the
saw
culture.
Lamar.
CLNS media culture.
I saw Lamar my second week as a
Meek
freshman.
Mill.
I saw
yeah?
as a freshman up at Syracuse, 400 yards, 200 on the ground,
Just carved him
Damn.
up.
and that made me a believer forever.
Wow. Well,
Oh, per Meek Mill.
per Meek Mill, that's how you know it's true. So, all right, guys, that's it for us. Thanks again, everyone who watched and hung out with us. So, Josue, thank you. Bob, you guys, are you gonna be at the Garden tomorrow?
Yep, I'll be down there.
All right.
Toronto.
Check out the fellas tomorrow from the TD Garden, and we'll see you guys after the show. After the
See you
game
guys.
on the show.